Hi, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. I'm so glad that you're here today. So today we're going to talk about how to be busy and efficient, how to deliver an amazing wow experience to your clients. You know, there's a little acronym that I love to use called S.W.E.T, S-W-E-T, and what it stands for is the same way every time. So you're busy, right? You're busy out getting business, making phone calls, writing handwritten notes, and meeting face-to-face, either on Zoom or in person with agents. And so it's really important that you have a process, because processes, the right ones, they create a predictable outcome. So I like to use the acronym S.W.E.T because it means that we do things the same way every time. So do you have a list of what everyone on your team does? A detailed job description? Do you and everyone you know on your team, do they know their roles and their expectations? So I'm going to give you a little tip today about a way to create their roles and refine the roles that you have. So you're going to take a piece of paper with 4 columns on it, and you're going to talk about the tasks, each individual task. So the first column is going to be who's responsible for that task. The second column is going to be what is the expected time frame for completion. In other words, you may have one idea as a mortgage advisor and the leader of your team about how quickly you want your team to do things or yourself to do things. But if your team doesn't know what that is, what the expectation of time frame is, they may have their own time frame. In other words, they may say, okay, well, a client called us, I need to jump on it right away. And maybe your expectation is within a half hour, we have to get back with them. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe your team member doesn't realize that you want them to get on it within a certain amount of time. And you just automatically assume that they know that. So map it out. What is the time frame expectation to complete that task that they have? What's the follow-up date once you complete the task? What is that follow-up date? There is always a follow-up date. Every time we complete a task, there is a follow-up date, no matter what, even at closing. So let's say you sign the loan docs, the loan funds, there's still a follow-up date after that. It's when do I check in with the client to see how the home is looking? When do I check in with them later on to see how their home is coming? Are they enjoying being with their family? Are they enjoying the backyard? Or are they having barbecues by the pool? You know, things like that. So there's always a follow-up task. So what I always say, and I live it myself, and I teach people this, is you are not ever done with what you're working on until you have a follow-up date tasked in your system as a reminder to remind you to follow up. Once again, it's who's responsible for the task, what is the expected time frame to complete the task, what's the follow-up date once you complete that task, and remember that there's always a follow-up date and a next step, no matter what. So then the next question is, do you have a CRM that will remind you of the tasks that are coming up? Do you have a system, a process for putting that together? So if you don't have a CRM, I would highly suggest you get one. Get one that reminds you when you have a task due. If you don't have a CRM yet, don't wait to get started. Just use your calendar. So if a client says, hey, I'm going to get back with you by Friday, then you put it in your task reminder for Friday. Actually, you'd put it in for Monday to make sure that they did get back to you by Friday at 5 o'clock. So you would make it very easy to find. And then every day when your team comes in, or you, if you don't have a team yet, you come in and you look at your task reminders for the day. And that's part of what you do during that day. You block time out to take care of your task reminders, whether it's phone calls, whether it's following up with an email, getting documentation, whatever it is. So it's the little details like that that make you stand out. It's the little things that you do to follow up that really make you stand out and make your team stand out. So when you think about it, someone you've ever gone to give you a service, like one thing that I love when my hairstylist reminds me that it's time for an appointment if I haven't made one. I love that because it gives me the reminder. We have a guy that does our carpet, and he always reminds us when it's time to do our carpet, because we get busy and we're not thinking about it. So those are the kinds of little details that make a difference, because it shows me that they're following up, that I matter to them. And that's what you're showing your clients when that happens with you. And your team needs to learn these kinds of things. You know, airplane pilots use S.W.E.T as well. Same way every time. They never get ready to take off without going through their checklist. I don't care if they have flown for 25 years. It doesn't matter, but they do it every time. And if they don't, they're in big trouble. I was on a plane one day and I was in the front of the plane and the door was open to where the pilot was. He was sitting down and getting ready. And all of a sudden, you know, I started getting my laptop out and just getting ready to get going. And I hear this pull up. Like, those are the kinds of things you don't want to hear on an airplane, right? But we hadn't taken off yet. And all he was doing was going through his checklist. And I realized it immediately. For those of you that don't know, I used to be afraid to fly when I first started flying back across the country, but I'm not afraid now because I know they have a checklist. I know that the things that you experience on a plane are normal. Because of the checklist, I'm confident that things will go well. Of course, you know, anything can happen, but what is so great about the checklist is that there is a set process to make sure that everything is done right. And in the mortgage business, it's even so important to do that. I was going to say it's even more important. No, it's not more important than doing it on a plane, but it is important so that you can have the same process, the same predictable outcome, which is an amazing wow experience for the clients and the referral partners and you and your team. As a mortgage advisor, you know that having a high-performing loan team is critical to building a successful business. But training them can be time-consuming, and it can detract from more important tasks like generating leads and growing your business. But that's where we come in. We created Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp, a self-paced online course available immediately to train your team, including newer loan officers, on how to actually do mortgage loans. Our course takes them step by step through the process, from taking a complete loan application to creating effective communication with clients, referral partners, and team members. When they complete the class, they will have the training to be an asset to you and your mortgage business. Visit loanteamtraining.com and navigate to the Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp tab to review our course details and enroll. With our training, you can confidently delegate and devote your time to growing your business even more. It feels really good when you deliver an experience that is wow, because people want to refer their friends and family to you after that. And you make their lives so much easier when you do that. So take time to clearly define the task. Who's responsible for the task? What's the expected time frame for completion? What's the follow-up date once you've completed the task? There's always a follow-up date and a next step. Remember, always, every single time. I like to tell people in our classes that they are not done with the task until a follow-up date is set. And if you do that, you will always come out ahead. You will always pay attention to those little details that make the difference of why they want to use you or why they want to refer you after the great experience that they've had with you. So clearly identifying who does what with the same team expectations has taken teams to a next level. It's taken loan officers, mortgage advisors, their teams, it's taken their business to the next level, because those are the little things that make a difference. They're not little, though. They're important, but people don't notice what you're doing. They just notice the outcome, the kind of service that they're getting. So if you'd like a copy of that form that we use in our training, I'm happy to send it to you. Just email us at Irene and Kevin at Loan Team Training, and we will make sure to get it to you. So I hope you have found this helpful to you today. Please share this episode with other mortgage advisors that you know. I would really appreciate it. And I sure appreciate you being here listening to the show. Have an amazing day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.